Levittown.
This is On the Ice, presented by Independence Blue Cross. A weekly recap of your Philadelphia Flyers from blue line to blue line. Broadcasting live from Chickies and Pete's. Tonight's show is brought to you by Hand and Stone Spa, Pat Dion Beverages, The Capitol Grill, Chickies and Pete's, Payroll Service Solutions, and Independence Blue Cross. We now go live to Chickies and Pete's for On the Ice, presented by Independence Blue Cross. Now, here are your hosts, former Flyer Brad Marsh and Paul Jolovitz.
All right. Error number one, we'll clean that up right away. Mr. Prawn, I'm Paul Jolovitz. This is Independence Blue Cross On the Ice from Chickies and Pete's in beautiful Drexel Hill, Pennsylvania. Brad Marsh not here today. That was traded. We see that in sports sometimes. By my co-host, who's been in Florida for the last 3 months. Flew back today, looking tan, refreshed. 78th birthday Monday. Mr. Bernard Marcel Perron, how are you, buddy?
Where is he? Where is he?
How's it feel to be back?
Oh, awesome. You know what, Jim? First person I talked to when I came back was you.
And
you
Paulie.
And Paul.
Yep.
Oh, man,
Yeah.
Paul the legend.
Yeah, I know.
Now, the legends are you guys. Broad Street Bullies, our guest tonight, which Bernie teased. He said, Jim, there aren't many Jims. You know Joe's brother, Jim, one of the great defensemen in Flyer history, Flyer Hall of Fame, from the Broad Street Bullies, two-time Stanley Cup champion. Jimmy Watson, how are you, buddy?
Paulie, baby, I'm doing great. And you know what? It's great to be able to Chickie and Pete's and see all the fans, all the sport fans, and particularly the hockey fans. And just awesome to be with yourself, Paul, and Bernie, my old buddy Bernie.
Hey,
I got a question about you and your old buddy Bernie, because I don't understand hockey nicknames for a second. We got great fans here. We got the Masters on TV and all kinds of sports. A lot of people bustle. Great food here at Chickies and Pete's.
Yes.
But something gets to me, Jimmy. Every time you talk to Bernie, you call him Benny. How does someone named Bernie get the nickname Benny?
God only knows. I came when I came as a rookie in 73, 74. They were calling him Benny, and I still to this day don't know why.
Wait a second. They called me something else.
Plenty of things you can't say on the air.
And Jim came to my rescue with Benny.
Not going to touch that with a 10-foot pole, boys. Obviously, you guys won the Stanley Cups 49 years ago, 1974.
Yes.
Then you won it again in 1975. Next year, you'll be celebrating a lot of stuff, 50th anniversary. As the Flyers rebuild, they need more talent. Lost 4 in a row this week. We're going to try to focus on the positive this week. And, Jim, the first question I have for you is a simple one. We got great fans here. We got great fans in Philadelphia. John Tortorella behind the bench.
Yep.
Danny Briere now the GM. Dan Hilferty running things after Dave Scott retired. So a lot of change at the top, the draft, deals. But just a simple question. Fill in the blank, Jim. The Flyers have not won the Stanley Cup in 48 years, primarily because?
Primarily because they don't have the leadership that they probably need on the ice. But I will say, on a shining light, I feel like they are getting it. Very impressed with Konechny this year. I mean, he had an injury at the end here, but he had a great year, and I thought he really led. I loved to hear what he had to say. He talked about how he just decided to come to the rink very focused and work real hard and practice every night and every day, and that led to his better performance on the ice. And that's leadership, okay, by example. And I felt like a guy like Stanheim and Hart in goal, these guys showed leadership. So that would be a number one thing, is this leadership, okay? And then number two, I think they've got the piece in the part of the puzzle in the coach and Tortorella. I said this when we talked in September. I said to you guys, I was really encouraged with Tortorella as the new coach, and I still am. I think he's made great strides, and he's made it quite clear how he wants the team to play, and the guys are really getting into it. I mean, if you look at the losses, fans, the losses are close. They're in all the games primarily.
They just don't have enough talent.
They don't have enough talent, but you know, and here's the other thing that's a real shining light for me. If they can get Couturier, and apparently he's healthy, and they get Atkinson back, they get those two guys. Well, they're top 3-4 forwards on the team. So you add two major pieces like that, they can jump and escalate real fast in the standings.
May 8th is a big day for the Flyers. That's the lottery. Connor Bedard, obviously the big prize. All the non-playoff teams in it. Flyers have like a 5% chance, but that would be a nice way to start. People ask me all the time. I think my co-host has a little more informed opinion than I do. Bernie, do the Flyers have a Stanley Cup goalie on their team right now? Is Carter Hart the guy that if everything else around him fits in, you get a little bit of luck and everything else you need, you can win a Stanley Cup with Carter Hart?
Yeah, I remember beginning of my career, people asked the same question about me.
And not here in Boston, right?
and
Philly.
they all turned me down. Yeah, it turned out good. You know what? You know, people have to realize too. We're talking about individuals, goalies, defense, forward, coaches, or whatever. You know, and I had a pleasure to talk to a lot of young kids in school today, and you know, my message was very clear. It's the same thing here. You have to be a team player. You know, you can't do this on your own. You know, and you've seen this many times. Look, Bobby Orr, probably the best defenseman ever played the game. You know, and we beat him. We won, you know, the Stanley Cup, but going back, what I said, you need this. I recall the team we had, Jim. We had a team.
Yeah.
You know, and we have good players, of course, but we had most important thing. We had a team.
Yep.
We worked together, and that's how you win.
All right, let me get some. Brad Marsh, who is another obvious co-host on this show, did a great thing with the Flyers alumni that I saw you at, Jim, a few weeks ago, called Friday Night Fights.
Yes.
Talking about fighting in hockey, how it's been gone, coming back a little bit, whatever. But a bunch of guys around the NHL, a bunch of Flyers. And it was a well-done event, beautiful event, a lot of fans. One of the things that was said there, it's one person's opinion, but I'd like to get your opinion on his opinion. Your teammate Bill Clement, the former host of this show, when he was introducing Dave Schultz, he said, listen, pretty much anybody would agree that Bobby Clark and Bernie Parent were the two MVPs on the Broad Street Bullies that won Stanley Cups. But I'm not sure that Dave Schultz wasn't number 3. Dave Schultz added a lot. He scored 20 goals in his career one year, obviously a physical presence. Was Dave Schultz that valuable to your Broad Street Bullies, Jim? And how important is fighting these days? And how important is it that you need a physical presence? Maybe not like a Dave Schultz, but somebody.
Look, at Dave, I would say Dave was the third most important part of our puzzle there. I mean, you got guys, skilled guys like Ricky McLeish and Billy Barber. You can't make light of those guys. And then Reggie came along in the second cup. But Dave was a very integral part of our team, no question about it. And he gave us a lot of courage. He went out and took on everybody. And back in that era, it was a tough hockey, particularly when we played the Bruins, and that's of course who we beat in the finals. So Schultz was taking on everybody, giving us a lot of courage. So he was very valuable to us. And I look at a good fight. You know what, the NHL, the way they work that, if there's a fight on the ice, if the two guys are going at it and nobody's getting the better of the other one, then they let them go a little bit. Okay.
Yeah.
And that's the big thing. Otherwise, protect the player against the big hit to the head. And, of course, maybe the concussion. So it's a part of the game, and it's a valuable part of the game. And actually, if the two guys go at it, then it kind of disarms everybody because now they've kind of settled their disagreement through a fight. It's over with. Now you move on and play the game.
Well, Bernie, with that regard, what Jimmy said is so valuable. And you as a goaltender, we know about guys rushing the goaltender, hitting the goalie. Oops, sorry about that. As they drive you through the net at 95 miles an hour. Did Schultz and other physical players help prevent people from doing that to you?
Of course. Defensively, it was very, very important. And, as a goalie, it was very important for me to concentrate on the game and visualize what was going on and study the game. Like Jim and Joe would tell me they would play the man. And if it's a left-hand shot, the shot would go my stick side. If it played the man, if it's a right-hand shot, the shot would go my glove side. Those are things you work on. It was very important. But as far as getting involved away from this, it would have been to me it would have been it would have been dangerous, fighting. But it wasn't my part of the game. We had players who did the right things. You had goalies, you had defensemen, you had forward, you had enforcers. Yep. You had coaches and the whole bit. Everybody did their job. That's why we won.
All right, fast forwarding to today, interesting point that John Tortorella, one of the things that makes him a terrific coach, he's been up in the press box last couple of games, letting Brad Shaw, Rocky Thompson run the team, seeing what he's got from above for next year. Jim, Bernie said left side, glove side, defenseman right side, stick side. But John Tortorella's big thing is blocking shots. If the defensemen are blocking shots and the forwards are blocking shots, the shot doesn't go to any side. It goes into the player and bounces back out. How important was shot blocking back when you played?
Well, I think it's important. I mean, there's no question it's important. But, frankly, I have mixed feelings on that one because I'm trying to get more offense into the game of hockey. I want the NHL actually to make a change. And I'm going to get into this a little bit with you because, look at, we want to get more shots on goal. We want to see more goals scored or more opportunities, more saves by the goalie.
Bernie just took a knife out. Be careful.
Well, no, but you know what? Bernie looked better when he had 35, 40 shots on him as opposed to 20 or 25, right?
Sure.
And it keeps you in the game more and it gives the fan more action. So what I'm saying is I would like to have the NHL implement a rule where you're not allowed to leave your feet under any circumstance to block a pass or a shot. Okay, you can block a pass if you stand up, but if you leave your feet for any reason, it's a penalty immediately. And that would take away a lot of that stuff. And actually, it would help the NHL because there would be fewer injuries.
Well, let me for 1 second, just because is lying down, laying out, leaving your feet?
So you
can't lay out.
No, you can't lay out. You can't leave your feet under any circumstances. That's the rule I would have. Very easy to implement, and it would get a lot more offense into the game.
Interesting point. I mean, obviously you got kids growing up all over the world leaving their feet to block shots.
Yeah.
How long, if you were growing up and you were a junior player, how long would it take you for instinctively to change that? Obviously not overnight, but how long do you think it would take?
Not that long. Not that long. You just tell somebody don't do it, and you don't do it. I mean, it's that simple. I'm one of these guys who just, you know what, do it. You know what? You got to have the right attitude. Just don't do that and stop it. All right? And that's what you do. Don't make excuses that you can't remember or what have you. But that's what we need to do because we need to keep the game very exciting for fans. And I worry about that sometimes. Okay? Now we've had a lot more offense this year. I will give you that.
Yeah.
But you see a lot of guys getting injured, and a lot of it's from blocking shots. Now I understand John Tortorella. You got to get into shooting lanes, and that's good. And that's why the defensemen today are very good at walking the line and move across the line and get shots through. And, Anthony DeAngelo is a great example. Very good at doing that with the Flyers. And consequently, he's very productive. So there's ways the defenseman can still get shots through, but stand in the shooting lane fine and dandy. But don't flop down. Don't go down and then block. And then you see situations where you might have a 2-on-1. Okay, and all of a sudden the defenseman will lay out like a big log on the ice. Well, it's impossible to navigate the puck through, around, or over the defenseman.
Yeah.
So you lose a great offensive thrust. And it's excitement for the fans that goes out the window.
All right, that's interesting, Jim, because we're watching baseball with a pitch clock.
Yeah.
Basketball has their changes. Football is such an offensive game nowadays. You mentioned that. Bernie, Jim, either one of you guys, you mentioned obviously that rule. What would you change in the game of hockey today to make it more appealing to the fans, Bernie?
Well, with Jim, for an example, Jim would lay down quite a bit, because he was tired.
But you know what? I would. Hey, so
the knife is sharp today, Jim.
So I actually used to. I used to lay down and slide across and block shots. That's the way I would do it because I didn't want to leave my face exposed to the puck.
But at the same time, as a goalie, if you know what he's going to do, you study your defenseman. Then you look more for, you get ready for a shot around the waist or up higher instead of worrying about a shot on the
but
ice.
if you can get in on top of the guy quickly, then the puck, you almost you smother the shot.
Yeah. All right, it's honesty time here. We like to ask honest questions on this show. Bernie, the goalie, wears all kinds of equipment. The defensemen don't. You wear plenty of equipment. But, Jimmy, how many times in your career, you're not going to give me the exact number, but did you lay out to block a shot, block the shot, and then said to yourself, or maybe out on the ice, what the bleep did I do that for?
No.
Ow!
No, you know what? It's all part of the game, but it was the other shots that I didn't expect. I got hit one time under the eye and broke my cheekbone in 2 places. But it was just a long wrist shot from the point, and I was jostling with the guy in front of the net, and I needed to be facing the shot quicker, and as I turned, it hit me. And I learned a valuable lesson, but a tough lesson, right? But it's all part of the game, and you just have to be alert and wise and sharp, and you'll adjust to it.
All right, we're going to take a quick break. But 1 second, Bernie talked about talking to kids today reading to kids in the school. You guys do so much off the ice. Jim runs Ice Works right near here, a tremendous facility for figure skating, for hockey. You have a hockey camp. One of the fans, his grandson goes to your camp. How important, you guys played long ago, but you're still relevant in the Philadelphia community. You're still energetic and active. How important, however you do it, and I'm sure, Jimmy, you go to schools, and Bernie, you do stuff at hockey camps. How important is working with kids to both of you?
Well, it's critical. I mean, I look at it like when at our rink called Iceworks, every kid that comes into our rink to start playing hockey or even figure skating, I just say, well, that's another potential Flyer fan, right?
Or Flyer player.
Or maybe even a Flyer player. But the joy that they get out of hockey's a very demanding game. It's a very, very tough game. I mean, you play on a hard surface, right, with sideboards, right? Think about this. You got a club in your hands, and you're allowed to wheel that thing around. And if you don't have a little bit of character, you're not going to play it because it's going to be probably a little too hard for you. So, but it's for everybody. It's for everybody. And if maybe a kid is a little timid or nervous or shy, well, he'll adjust and learn if the coach is proper and the parents give him encouragement.
Bernie, you reading to the kids. How much do you like working with kids in all kinds of ways?
Well, you know what? I love to work with kids, and I shared this earlier. I think it's important to make the kids realize that you don't succeed. Doesn't matter what you're doing in life. You're not going to succeed on your own. You have to be part of a team. Whether you build your team or you become part of a team, you have.
No matter who you are, no matter what you do.
You have. Well, look at hockey for an example. You got defensemen. You have a goalie here, right? We had forwards. We had 21 players.
Bernie, you don't have a good team if you don't have good leadership and good character.
Of course, you got to have that leadership.
Well, Wayne Gretzky, he didn't start skating and become this. He says father with a backyard rink, parents, teachers, other kids.
Yeah.
I mean, adulthood. We all need other people.
But the thing about hockey that I love, Bernie, and listen, is that the lessons in life that you learn from hockey are, just you can't do without, right? Mm-hmm. If you become a hockey player, you develop character,
yep.
and you develop leadership, and you actually learn respect and humility. These are all things that kids want, or parents want in their kids. This is all part of hockey. This is all you gain all these attributes from playing the game.
I'm not just saying this to blow smoke. I'm dead serious, and he probably knows it. Somebody asked me to define character. I would simply say Jim Watson. You're the greatest example of it, Jim, that I can possibly imagine. You walk what you talk. You live what you speak. It really is amazing.
And then quickly think about being a goalie behind Jim.
Well,
stopping.
I take a little bit. I take heat too at times, but
sure.
You know what? I stick to what I believe.
Well, we're going to take a lot of heat and give a lot of heat and give a lot of kudos. You're listening On the Ice, presented by Independence Blue Cross, live from Chickies and Peace right here on 1490 WBCB. It's time now for the Independence Blue Cross Live Fearless Player of the Week. This week, we turn the clock back because Bernard Marcel-Parent, my co-host, celebrated a big birthday. Happy birthday, Bernie. Remember to choose Independence Blue Cross today and begin to live fearless like Bernard Marcel-Parent. We come back with On the Ice, presented by Independence Blue Cross, right after this.
98 years old, man. I feel good.
There we are.
Hi, it's Pete from Chickie and Pete's. It's all new and it's all for you. The heated deck at Chickie and Pete's on the Boulevard is now open. It's enclosed, heated, and perfect for the ultimate in-game experience or live music when the best local bands take the stage. Like LeComp, Fat Mez, or Jameson. Check our website for the band schedule. The heated deck at Chickie and Pete's on the Boulevard is now open every Thursday through Sunday. Chickies and Pete's.
I'm always striving to live my healthiest life, so I need a health plan that has my back. With Independence Blue Cross, I get access to the largest network of doctors and hospitals in the region and free virtual doctor visits 24/7. Plus, with premiums as low as $0 per month, I can stay on top of my health and keep my budget in check. Independence has given me coverage I can count on, and they'll do the same for you. Explore your coverage options and enroll today at ibx.com.
A flawless occasion begins at the Capitol Grill. From the moment you step into the Capitol Grill, located in the heart of Center City, the experience is one of comfortable elegance. Whether you're looking to host a private affair, a perfect lunch stop, or dinner destination, start your occasion at the Capitol Grill today. Visit thecapitalgrill.com or call 215-545-9588. That's 215-545-9588 for the Capital Grill, Center City.
Payroll Service Solutions was established in 2001 to cater to the payroll needs of small to medium-sized businesses. Payroll Service Solutions offers unparalleled customer service while they deliver a complete and accurate payroll. When calling Payroll Service Solutions, you will never be put into a voicemail or go through a series of prompts to get to a person. All customer service representatives are extensively trained to handle all of your payroll needs, therefore saving you time. They value each and every one of their clients. No account is too small. Call Payroll Service Solutions today at 1-866-PAY-EASY for a no-obligation review of your payroll needs. That number again is 1-866-PAYEASY. Payroll Service Solutions.
If you're looking for a stylish and sophisticated fine dining experience, visit your Eddie V's Prime Seafood restaurant near King of Prussia. Eddie V's Seafood features an abundant selection of fine wines and curated cocktails to complement exquisite steaks and seafood made from the highest quality ingredients. In the V Lounge, sip on imaginative handcrafted cocktails with attitude while enjoying signature appetizers. Conveniently located between I-276 and I-76 near the King of Prussia Mall. Call them today, 610-337-7823 to schedule your night out for Eddie V's Prime Seafood.
We now return to Chickies and Pete's for On the Ice, presented by Independence Blue Cross. Once again, here are your hosts, Paul Jolovitz and former Flyer Brad Marsh.
Bernie Perron is in for Brad Marsh today. It is now time for the Smart Stat of the Week, brought to you by Payroll Service Solutions. Call them today at 1-866-PAY-EASY. That's Danny at 1-866-PAY-EASY. Jim and Bernie, let's celebrate 1974 and 1975 when Jim Bernie and the Broad Street Bullies gave us consecutive parades. Let's do it again. And soon, that's up to the Flyers, the soon part. That was your Flyers Smart Stat of the Week, once again brought to you by Payroll Service Solutions. Call them today at 1-866-PAY-EASY for the smart choice in payroll services. Payroll Service Solutions, catering to the small and medium-sized business to handle all of your payroll needs. Call them once again at 1-866-PAY-EASY. Jim Watson, our guest. Jim, you've run a rink for a lot of years. As an executive, you have a lot of decisions to make based on a lot of things. Flyers have a new general manager, a new governor, obviously a draft coming up, a draft lottery, trades. You need more talent in the pipeline. Sean Couturier, Cam Atkins come back. You got Ryan Ellis. In other words, you got a million things at the top. Where do you start if you're Danny Briere or Dan Hilferty and starting to put Humpty Dumpty back together?
Well, the first thing you do is always draft the best player available. Whether you're strong at that position or not, you just go get the best player.
Right. Yep.
I mean, and then you can always argue. You can get a trade, right? Whatever, or build. You got to build. Very few guys now in the draft come out as pure rookies out of the draft. All right.
Might be one in this draft.
There may be one in this draft. We'll see with Connor Bedard.
Yep.
Yeah, the kid Bernier is playing out in Seattle. Has had a heck of a year.
And the Michigan kid, Santilli. This is a very good draft.
Yeah, it is a very good draft, yes. But no, you draft the best player, but you know what? You got to build through the draft. You can't make mistakes in the draft. It's critical that you get a couple of good picks every year, and then you got to get lucky maybe on a late draft, like a 4th or 5th or 6th, even 7th rounder, and then you look for free agents, and then you go out into these leagues over in Europe. Particularly the KHL, right? I mean, Vancouver got a kid out of there. He's going to end up with 34 goals or something this year. So you just got to do your work. You got to work hard, and you got to be smart, and you got to be able to read talent. It's just that simple.
Bernie, one of the strange things that would seem counterintuitive, I'm sure Jim would agree with this, the one thing you don't want to do in the National Hockey League, if you want to win the Stanley Cup, is be the best team in the regular season and win the President's Trophy. Boston is on pace to set all kinds of records this year with 1 million points, 1 million wins. Like the last 9 teams to win the President's Trophy have failed to win the Stanley Cup. I guess there's a bullseye on them, but is that just a coincidence, or is there's some reason that teams who win the President's Trophy have not been hot and healthy in the playoffs enough to go all the way to Lord Stanley's Cup?
Well, I think the problem, there's a few problems, but to me the problem would be that, you accomplish what you're talking about during the season, and then you become a little bit complacent.
Yep.
You know, during the playoffs, and you know it goes by fast. You lose 4 games, you're out. You know, so and then if you lose a couple of games, you lose your momentum. Then it's dangerous.
Could be an exception this year, Bernie. Boston's pretty strong.
Yeah. But
the
what I'm
goalie's
saying,
number one.
Boston's got great goaltending, Bernie. Let's talk about the Bruins. Look at the trade they made with Washington. They got this kid Orlov and Hathaway. I mean, I don't know what Washington was doing. I mean, they got Ovechkin there. Ovechkin he got 40+ goals, and he's kind of going towards the end of his career, obviously.
They're missing the playoffs.
And they're going to miss the playoffs. And made this trade. I don't understand it for the life of me, but it's good for the Bruins. I mean, they had it big time this year with they remade their defense. Their defense is incredible.
Yep.
If you look at their defense.
The goalie, Olmark, who's never won anything, had a great year.
Yeah, and the coach has done a great job. They're very strong, Bernie. I mean, I don't see them falling off, Ben.
Well, you know what? And leadership that you're talking about before, it's important to remind the players, guys, the season is over. Now let's take the same approach for the playoffs. Don't dwell on what you did during the season.
And you better ramp it up a little bit more.
That's
even.
right. You take the same approach, but you got to ramp it up. We hear the playoff beards, the 2-month fight that is the Stanley Cup. All right, so guys, Jim, I ask you this question first. I asked you one multiple choice question, fill in the blank. Here's another one. The biggest reason the teams have to play different in the Stanley Cup, it's still hockey, but the biggest difference between the playoffs and the regular season is?
Because you want it more. I mean, it's the Stanley Cup Finals. It's the Stanley Cup, not
it's
the finals, but the playoffs.
Holy grail of Canadian kid,
it is absolutely, but it's not only Canadian kids. Look at the American kids in there now, and the Europeans in there. Yeah. So, but for all anybody that plays hockey knows about the National Hockey League and the Stanley Cup. It is the holy grail of hockey, and you're in it. You're actually there, and my goodness gracious, it's like your dreams are being realized. I'm playing for the Stanley Cup.
All right, Bernie, the Stanley Cup, Lord Stanley. Everybody knows it. I've gotten to hold it over at your house. Thanks.
Get to the point, Paul.
All right, I will get to Baseball has a World Series trophy. Football has a Lombardi trophy, which is pretty cool. And basketball has a Larry O'Brien trophy. But hockey, your name's inscribed on the cup. Your name's inscribed on the cup twice. How different is it to be inscribed on a trophy with a name than to have won a nameless, faceless trophy, which is still cool, but hockey seems like it's different?
Yeah, it's nice. I did a promotion in Florida, as a matter of fact, and along the beach, the signing.
I have to throw Florida in there, huh?
For the National Hockey League.
85 degrees.
And you look at the Stanley Cup. It's been 49 years since
48.
48, 49 years, and we still have our names on it. It's incredible.
Yeah, it's incredible.
It's going to disappear within 2 years, I think.
Is it really?
They're going to replace it.
The ring goes down? And where do they put the ring? In the Hockey Hall of Fame? Where does it go?
Yeah.
They put it on the wall.
Yeah.
Wow, Ben, that's not good. That's not good. I'm going to go down. I'm going to go up to Toronto and raise hell up there and see if we can't change that.
Well, let me give you a guy who might go up to raise hell with you guys, because the cup, obviously the rings are going to be put somewhere. They're not put in the garbage. You're immortalized forever. One guy in Flyer history, obviously there was Gene Hart that started it all. You guys were the Broad Street Bullies, 7 years in, won the cup. There's another guy that's been with the Flyers for 43 years, was a ham and egg NHL player, primarily a minor league player, who's transitioned into a Flyer legend. He's had every role in the Flyers book. He's retiring this year. You guys are both good friends of his. Steve Coates. What does that mean to you, Jim?
Steve, oh man, Steve. Well, everybody loves Steve. He's a great character.
Yep.
Great guy.
Excuse me a second. I don't understand how we played so long.
He just had that gene, Bernie. You have gene, he had the gene.
Yeah.
No, Coates, he just brought it. He brought it every night. You know what? He had a personality that wouldn't stop. Always very jovial, fun-loving. Very informative, very enthusiastic. He just brought it, and you couldn't help but like the guy. And we all appreciated and respected Steve, and just so happy that he had a long career with the Flyers. And now he's going off into the sunset and with his family, and good for him.
Down the shore he lives.
I have a good story about Steve.
Let's rock.
We're playing in Detroit one time. He came across the blue line on the breakaway, and he tripped. and
Just
lost
once?
a chance to score a goal. You remember that, Jim?
Yeah, I think he pulled his groin on the same
Or
play.
something, yeah.
And,
Tripped over the blue
so
line.
listen to this. So he gets a breakaway. In Detroit. The fans are on their. They come out of their seats, cheering him on, and all of a sudden, he pulls his groin as he's going in on the breakaway, and he couldn't finish the freaking breakaway. He dumped the puck. He dumped the puck into the corner.
That's what for who?
For the Red Wings. He was playing for the Red Wings at the time.
Yeah.
That's a Sports Center #1 top 10
It
tonight.
has to be it. The biggest blooper going.
God.
But he laughs about it. We all laugh about it. It's a great story.
That's the great thing about stories. You guys are all warriors when you play, but even after the game and in the tunnels, guys on different teams who grew up together, played juniors, whatever, commiserate. Hockey is a game of thieves, but hockey is a game of family more than anything else. We'll be back with two guys in the Flyer family. I want to know what you guys think about another sport watching on TV now that a lot of hockey players are good at because of the swing. The Masters starts this week. Yeah, got a couple questions for Jim and Bernie about that. Independence Blue Cross on the ice. Got a bunch of people waiting to say hi to Bernie and Jim, watching TV, eating great food on a beautiful spring day. Be back right after this. Stay with us.
Here's a hole.
Hi, it's Pete from Chicky and Pete's. It's all new and it's all for you. The heated deck at Chicky and Pete's on the Boulevard is now open. It's enclosed, heated, and perfect for the ultimate in-game experience or live music when the best local bands take the stage. Like LeComp, Fat Mez, or Jameson. Check our website for the band schedule. The heated deck at Chicky and Pete's on the Boulevard is now open every Thursday through Sunday. Chickies and Pete's.
At Independence Blue Cross, we believe in giving you the tools you need to pursue your healthiest life. From premiums as low as $0 per month to health discounts and cash rewards, it pays to have coverage with Independence. With the strongest network of doctors and hospitals in the region and free 24/7 virtual doctor visits, you can feel confident that quality care is always within reach. Learn more about your coverage options at ibx.com.
A flawless occasion begins at the Capitol Grill. From the moment you step into the Capitol Grill, located in the heart of Center City, the experience is one of comfortable elegance. Whether you're looking to host a private affair, a perfect lunch stop, or dinner destination, start your occasion at the Capitol Grill today. Visit thecapitolgrill.com or call 215-545-9588. That's 215-545-9588 for the Capitol Grill, Center City.
Payroll Service Solutions was established in 2001 to cater to the payroll needs of small to medium-sized businesses. Payroll Service Solutions offers unparalleled customer service while they deliver a complete and accurate payroll. When calling Payroll Service Solutions, you will never be put into a voicemail or go through a series of prompts to get to a person. All customer service representatives are extensively trained to handle all of your payroll needs, therefore saving you time. They value each and every one of their clients. No account is too small. Call Payroll Service Solutions today at 1-866-PAY-EASY for a no-obligation review of your payroll needs. That number again is 1-866-PAYEASY. Payroll Service Solutions.
If you're looking for a stylish and sophisticated fine dining experience, visit your Eddie V's Prime Seafood restaurant near King of Prussia. Eddie V's Seafood features an abundant selection of fine wines and curated cocktails to complement exquisite steaks and seafood made from the highest quality ingredients. In the V Lounge, sip on imaginative handcrafted cocktails with attitude while enjoying signature appetizers. Conveniently located between I-276 and I-76 near the King of Prussia Mall. Call them today, 610-337-7823 to schedule your night out for Eddie V's Prime Seafood.
We now return to Chickies and Pete's for On the Ice, presented by Independence Blue Cross. Once again, here are your hosts, Paul Jolovitz and former Flyer Brad Marsh.
All righty, back here with On the Ice, Bernie Perrant and Jim Watson with us here at Chickies and Pete's in beautiful Drexel Hill. Brought to you by Independence Blue Cross, where Dan Hilferty used to be the CEO. Now he's the CEO of the Flyers. Got a lot of things to worry about, but got some good young players, Bernie. Who's the best young player that you've seen with the Flyers? You got Carter Hart, you got Noah Cates, you got Cam York, you got Owen Tippett, you got Wade Allison, you got Kiefer Bellows, you got others. Who's the one guy you've been most impressed with?
I like Hart. Yeah, I really do.
Goalies like the goalie, right?
You know what? Good kid, strong kid. He's been hurt here lately.
Yep.
But he's good. You know what? And your goalie, like I said before, your goalie is a reflection of the team. You have a good team, you have a good goalie.
You know what? I think he's progressively getting better.
Yeah.
He's had a couple ups and downs, but overall, and this year he's emerged even more so. You can see there's a maturity in the young man.
Yep.
You know, and he's really played hard and played well.
Well, let me ask you a question that I'm not qualified to answer, which is why I'm asking you guys. People ask me, can Carter Hart get bombed so much in this year, the next couple of years? He's not really giving up 5 goals a game, obviously, but can he get discouraged? Can he get the one taken away from him?
No. I don't accept that, Paul. Never get discouraged.
Okay.
And you know what, Paul? I don't think he's been bombarded this year. He's had a share of a lot of shots, but not. You know what? They've been in games, the Flyers.
They have.
It just hasn't worked out for them. And they need a little more offense. They need a little more thrust up front. Generate a little more from the back end, although they're getting a lot more from the back end, but still got to get more from there.
Well, you make a point, Jim, that I agree with 1,000% with the Eagles. With any team, you take the best player available wherever you draft. Obviously, the Flyers need offense. They need that one offensive lightning rod firepower, whatever you want to call it. If the best player in the draft at the time the Flyers pick is a defensive player, do you want to trade the pick? If you're Danny Briere, do you think in that way? Are you taking an offensive player no matter what?
Well, you know what? Depends what's available, right? We don't know. That's all the inner workings of the draft, and these general managers are talking to each other constantly. Who knows what they're cooking up, right? But you look at a guy like Tippett. You mentioned him earlier. So they got him last year for Giroux, right? And you know what? Last year when he first got here, it was okay. It was some good, some maybe not so good. But he's really matured and grown under Tortorella, and he's had a really good second half. Of this year, and I think it really bodes well for next year for him. So there's another example of bringing these young guys in. They need time, and he's really showing it. He's the real deal. They got this young kid down in they had up for a while. They just sent back down to the American League. What's the kid's name, Paul? You know the kid I'm talking about. The right winger can really shoot the puck.
What am I, crazy here?
And
Reggie Leach.
No.
But I tell you what, that kid can shoot the puck, and he's come along quite well. He played what he had almost a point a game, for gosh sakes.
Like Forster.
Forster, there you are.
God,
Forster. Forster. Yeah, we seized up both of us.
There we are.
But nonetheless, here's another guy that potentially, got a lot to offer. They need if they get Couturier back, if he's healthy, I firmly believe he can be a number 1 centerman. Some people think that maybe he's a number 2, but I think
Selke Trophy winner.
I think he can play. He's a number 1 guy in my opinion. And you get him and Atkinson healthy, and all of a sudden you put them with Konechny on a first line. How scary is that?
Well,
okay.
Bernie, Jim came up to me before the show, and he had a kind of a pained look on his face, and he said to me, "Paul, I got a question for you. I've wondered about my whole life. You may want to talk to Bernie about it during the show." I said, "What is it, Jim?" He said, "I'm not big on French Canadians. Flyers now have a French Canadian general manager, Daniel Briere. You're a French Canadian. Can the Flyers win? Can anybody win with a French Canadian executive?"
What kind of a question is that, Paul? You know what? Of
What do you think of Dan?
course. You know what? I like him. You know what? That kid has people love him. Great personality.
Terrific.
You know what? He's well. What's the word I'm looking
Respect.
for?
He's respected, Bernie.
Inform as far as the younger players. You know, the players in the league, and you know what? I like him. I think he will make a great GM. And by the way, you're talking about Hart, right?
Yep.
I made a prediction last year that he's going to be a goalie when the Flyers win the next Stanley Cup.
From your mouth to God's ears.
Yeah.
All right. Well, there you go. There
Jim,
you go.
what's the toughest part? I mean, again, with the ice rink, but general manager wears 28 hats. He's got to answer to several masters at the same time. You don't want to make that bad deal. You want to make great deals. You want to make great picks. You want to make great free agent signings. It's about batting average. You're not going to bat 1,000. What's the most important thing for a new GM?
You better have a real good director of scouting, okay? Amateur
Great
scouting.
point, yep.
Number one, a great amateur scouter, and then you get on the road and you check the players also. Your scouting department's got to be top notch, and then you just build through the draft. You make a couple shrewd trades, and all of a sudden, and you get a real good coach like they have, and you turn it around real quickly. So this can be a rapid turnaround for the Flyers.
And who are you talk about these scouts? Flyers have a ton of scouts.
Well, I don't know. I don't know their scouting department. I really don't know. I mean, and I couldn't comment on it. But that's what you have to have.
Vern, same thing.
Well, yeah, you know, it's they're very behind closed doors. You know what I'm saying? Very
Private.
quiet, very private, very quiet.
Yeah.
So, but like Jim, you know, Jim keeps on going back. You know what? You have to, if you want to win, you have to have the right players with the right attitude. You know.
Is it more about attitude or talent?
Well, listen, with Tortorella, if you don't have the right attitude, you ain't playing. He can see it right away, and he's shown it this year.
All right. So what does Noah Cates have? A young player who doesn't have the talent of Travis Konechny or Owen Tippett, but
well, he looks to me like he would be like maybe a third or fourth line centerman, right?
Yep.
And he apparently kills penalties, and he's chipped in this year of offense. And that's what you have to do. I mean, there's no limitations on what you can do. And I don't like to even say a guy's just a good defensive hockey player. You can't be. You got to do it all. If you're just a good defensive player, then you better learn offense, or you're not going to hang around very long.
All right, Bernie. Did you guys have anybody with the Broad Street Bullies or anybody you played with in your career that wasn't the most talented player on the team, but the sum of the parts added up to a guy that was unbelievably important, work ethic, mentally tough, played offense, played defense, could play multiple positions? That bring up anybody to mind for you?
Yeah, Jim Watson.
Well, you were an offensive defenseman, way different player than you.
I could have been more. You know what? I could have been more offensive minded. I probably should have been.
No, you know what? I believe. First of all, you know what? The players are bigger and faster than when we played. You know, and it has nothing to do with the players, quote, with the goalies either. It's how what the rules are. You can't. You know what? In the old days, like I said earlier, quickly, I could study my defensemen and see how they would play in before I make my move, and 9 out of 10 times I would be all right. Today, you can't do anything. You can't touch anybody. You look at people in the crease. You have 3 or 4 guys in the crease. They score on the rebound, and everybody's happy.
You know what, Benny? There's rules there. They protect them. You know what? They still take a beating when they go in there, Bernie. It's not like it used to be, maybe, but it's still you got to pay a price to get in there,
right?
You got
to pay a big price, yep. And here at price in life, not just.
No, and the goalie's got to stay in that cage. I mean, Bernie, the goalies are dominating. At times they dominate
the
game.
Got the trapezoid now,
and it's too dominating.
Well,
we have to have goals scored in the game, Joe.
Jim, you know what the problem is with the league is the equipment for the goalies.
Yes.
I've said this before. The pads are not this very thick, but they're so stiff. They're so stiff that they can't move their feet sideways.
Yeah.
That's why they have to drop to their knees.
And they're big. And they're big too.
Yeah.
And you know what? I love the fact that we've got some smaller type goalies, right?
Yeah.
So this guy, UC Saros in Nashville,
yep.
he's had they say that he's going to have an opportunity to win Vesna.
Yep.
Yeah.
And he's only 6 feet taller.
Kid in Boston will probably win it, but-
5'11".
Yep.
Or you know what? But a smaller type goalie. It's good to see. It's good for the younger, smaller player
Yep.
that they have a chance.
There you go.
And Buffalo just signed this kid Levi out of college, playing up at Northeastern, and he's had 2 great games with the Sabres, and they look at him as going to be their goalie for next year, I think.
We got Caden
And
Primo, my coach.
5'11". Holy,
Yeah.
he's 5'11", for God's sake. He's not 6'4". So there you go. A smaller guy can
Yep.
make it too.
Yep.
I don't want to hear this stuff. You got to be 6'4" to be
Billy
a good
Smith
goalie.
wasn't that big.
Well, no, but back in that era, there were
Yeah.
smaller goalies. Look at Bernie. Bernie was what, 5?
Yeah,
Bernie
I was
5'8", Benny.
I was 5'2" on my skates.
Oh, you talk about eras, Jim. If I had gone to Smithers, British Columbia, when you were 10 years
Well,
old,
you got to be careful. Watch the Grizzly Bears ball when
watch
you
the
come up there.
Grizzly Bears, but I'd be there maybe to Scott Joe Watson, your brother was 9 years older. If I had said to you, come around the family table, guys, 60 years from now, you guys are going to be living in Philadelphia and you live there forever together, well, obviously apart, but brothers. This is where your life would take you. You would have called me what?
I would have
Insane?
said you were a prophet, man. You're a very insightful person. You could see a good thing, Paul. You could see a good thing when you.
I would say,
worked out for
Paul.
you, huh?
I would say, Paul, you need help, man. Yeah.
But when did they walk together
You know
forever?
what? You know what? It was a dream, right? We all had dreams.
Yep.
We had dreams as kids, and you just kept working at it. And it was funny. You know, I tell this story to a lot of people when coaching youth hockey, because a lot of the parents believe, well, you got to win in order to move up to higher levels. Well, that wasn't the case with me. When I played youth hockey, and even juniors, we never won anything. But I always had people encouraging me to go out there, do your best. If you love the game, do your best, play hard, have fun, right? And you know what? All of a sudden, I get to the NHL, and I win the Stanley Cup in my rookie year.
Yeah.
I'm like, what happened?
And your second year.
Hard to believe, right?
Yeah.
But if I had to listen to people say, well, you can't make it, Jim, you haven't won anything, I would have been discouraged and quit. But you know what? I had my parents and my coaches telling me, keep working hard. You never know what'll happen. And that's the case for anybody.
With one in the net behind you.
And look what happened to me.
Yeah.
You
Traded
know?
from the Bruins.
Please, Lord. You know?
Teams come together in strange ways.
Jim was a awesome, great defenseman, full of enthusiasm, and solid on his skate, good balance, good thinker, and a good. You know what? As a goalie, you couldn't get any better than Jim Watson.
Well, you can't tell you better than Jim Watson. Can't get any better than Bernie Pront.
No, I just hope that Joe's not listening.
Joe's been a frequent guest. He always listens. When we come back, guys, our final segment, this show's going so fast. Flyers aren't going to win the Cup this year. They're eliminated from the playoffs. Want to find out who Jim and Bernie think is going to win the Stanley Cup. Jimmy's talked about Boston already. And I have a question from them that I've never asked anybody in this show. Interested to see how they respond. We'll keep it secret, so you got to listen when we come back with Independence Blue Cross on the ice right after this. Stay with us, folks.
Good job.
Hi, it's Pete from Chicky and Pete's. It's all new and it's all for you. The heated deck at Chicky and Pete's on the Boulevard is now open. It's enclosed, heated, and perfect for the ultimate in-game experience or live music when the best local bands take the stage. Like LeComte, Fat Mez, or Jameson. Check our website for the band schedule. The heated deck at Chicky and Pete's on the Boulevard is now open every Thursday through Sunday. Chickies and Pete's.
I'm always striving to live my healthiest life, so I need a health plan that has my back. With Independence Blue Cross, I get access to the largest network of doctors and hospitals in the region and free virtual doctor visits 24/7. Plus, with premiums as low as $0 per month, I can stay on top of my health and keep my budget in check. Independence has given me coverage I can count on, and they'll do the same for you. Explore your coverage options and enroll today at ibx.com.
A flawless occasion begins at the Capitol Grill. From the moment you step into the Capitol Grill, located in the heart of Center City, the experience is one of comfortable elegance. Whether you're looking to host a private affair, a perfect lunch stop, or dinner destination, start your occasion at the Capitol Grill today. Visit thecapitolgrill.com or call 215-545-9588. That's 215-545-9588 for the Capitol Grill, Center City.
Payroll Service Solutions was established in 2001 to cater to the payroll needs of small to medium-sized businesses. Payroll Service Solutions offers unparalleled customer service while they deliver a complete and accurate payroll. When calling Payroll Service Solutions, you will never be put into a voicemail or go through a series of prompts to get to a person. All customer service representatives are extensively trained to handle all of your payroll needs, therefore saving you time. They value each and every one of their clients. No account is too small. Call Payroll Service Solutions today at 1-866-PAY-EASY for a no-obligation review of your payroll needs. That number again is 1-866-PAYEASY. Payroll Service Solutions.
If you're looking for a stylish and sophisticated fine dining experience, visit your Eddie V's Prime Seafood restaurant near King of Prussia. Eddie V's Seafood features an abundant selection of fine wines and curated cocktails to complement exquisite steaks and seafood made from the highest quality ingredients. In the V Lounge, sip on imaginative handcrafted cocktails with attitude while enjoying signature appetizers. Conveniently located between I-276 and I-76 near the King of Prussia Mall. Call them today, 610-337-7823 to schedule your night out for Eddie V's Prime Seafood.
We now return to Chickies and Pete's for On the Ice, presented by Independence Blue Cross. Once again, here are your hosts, Paul Jolovitz and former Flyer Brad Marsh.
All righty, with Bernie Perron and Jim Watson here at Chickies and Pete's in Drexel Hill, where we love to be. Next week will be our final show of the year at Malvern. Bernie will be back. We'll have Riley Cote as our guest. Jim Watson, Bernie Perron. Let's say I can pull a couple strings that I'll never be able to pull. Fred Sherrill, when he was the coach here, said before the first cup, win today and walk together forever. You won that, you won one more. Fred Sherrill passed away early in life. You guys have lived in Philadelphia since then. If you could ask Fred Sherrill one question, if God said you got one question for Coach or one thing you could tell him, what would it be, Bernie?
Well, my question would be, we had a rule on the road, okay? Would be, if Freddie got to a bar before we did, nobody was allowed to go in.
Really?
If one of our players would go in, Freddie wasn't allowed to go in. So my question would be, which one are you taking tonight?
Can't be with a coach after a game, huh? All right, Jim, God's allowed one question or one comment. What would you say?
Freddie, the question would be, Freddie, where did you get all your knowledge? You know, he was such a, and that's the question I would ask, because he was such a pioneer in the game of hockey. He was thinking hockey all the time. He always wanted to get better, and it was so interesting to play for Freddie. He was just a very interesting guy, and first guy to do so many different things, right? First guy to have a morning skate. First guy to have an assistant coach. He would go over to Russia.
Really?
He would go over to Russia. The first guy to have an assistant coach.
Didn't realize that.
And he would go over to Russia for seminars with the great Anatoly Tarasov, just to get more knowledge of the game of hockey.
Well, knowledge is the key. And John Tortorella, he's won a cup in Tampa also. Obviously, every coach is different. I know you guys don't know John Tortorella that well. But give me a couple similarities between Freddie Sherrill and John Tortorella that pull toward the same thing, which is obviously winning.
Well, to me, I think they're similar in the way they practice, And Freddie would take us for an example, and work on inside of our blue line for maybe 20, 25 minutes every practice. Remember that, Jim?
Yeah.
And so during the game, the puck was inside of our blue line. I could put my gloves on the net and feel safe,
Yep.
because you guys never made any mistakes, And John does similar things also. Yeah.
All right.
Bernie, listen, as far as I'm concerned, look, Tortorella is a very emotional guy. Freddie was a very kind of a cerebral guy, sit back and just talked very calmly, never raised his voice, hardly ever, but you had so much respect for him because you knew he knew what he was talking about. And I think that's the way the Flyers feel too right now with Tortorella. I think they have respect for him because even though he's a hard-nosed guy, they know that he's doing good for them. He's taking them to a good place.
He is, Jimmy, but he's got an interesting thing about himself. And I know you've coached, and you got a booming voice and love to play for a team you played for, but Tortorella has that weird quality of a guy who can get very emotional but still never raise his voice. Is that odd?
Well, yeah. I agree. But I'm not so sure he doesn't raise his voice on
Maybe
the
in the
bench,
locker
Paul.
room, but not to the media too much.
Is that right, eh?
Yeah.
Well, he just tells you I don't want to talk to you anymore.
Yeah.
Walks out of the news conference.
There we are.
So there you go. But no, he's he wears his emotions on his sleeve. You know what you're getting with Tortorella. I love that. I'd love to play for a coach like Tortorella. He's all business. As long as you play hard for him, you're always going to keep playing. You can make mistakes. As long as you're working hard, he knows you're going to keep getting better.
Bingo.
All right, guys. Lord Stanley's Cup, couple weeks, going to start a 2-month grind. Boston's the favorite. But I like a team. You guys both, Bernie just spent 3 months in Florida. On the other side of the coast. I like a team again who won 2 in a row, lost in the finals last year. Something tells me that when the playoffs start, they wake up. The Tampa Bay is going to win another cup this year with their great goaltender. They have great players everywhere.
Hey, Paul, excuse me. What's your question?
My question is, do you like the newlywed game? No. Who's going to win the cup?
I agree with Jim. I think Boston is.
I think Tampa Bay is.
Yeah.
Okay, so I like Boston in the East, right?
Okay.
And I think Colorado again is going to come out of the West. I mean, they've gotten everybody. They're getting everybody pretty much back. They still don't have the big left winger they had, the captain from last year. He's still injured, but they're hoping that he's going to come back. It's going to be. I mean, it's a grind. You got to win 4 series. Imagine that 4 series. It goes for 2 months. But I think the Bruins really are built for it, and they've got they got the great goaltender, they've got an outstanding defense, and they've got a lot of top-notch forwards.
No
too.
playoff beards when you guys played. Is that that started in the '80s with the Islanders?
Yeah, you know what? I don't like the beards.
You wouldn't do it?
Nah, I wouldn't do it. No.
Why?
I don't know. I just never liked playing with a beard. I like the clean shave.
All right, Bern, you got a beard. What do you think about that?
Well, I'm different. You know what? The way I looked at it didn't play with the way I played the game. If I felt like having a beard or something, I had one. But at the end of the day, you put the mask on and you forget about what you look like or whatever. Then bingo, you go out and perform.
Right.
That's how I believe in.
All right, good stuff. We got a couple minutes left. Jim, if I'm rummaging through, if I'm a parent and I'm looking online or whatever, and I want to put my kid in some kind of sport, and I see Iceworks,
yes.
It's a rink in Aston, Pennsylvania, without knowing any more about it, call Jim Watson for details. I want to put my kid in hockey. What does Iceworks offer, and pump anything you'd like?
Well, we have all kinds of clinics for beginners. We call it learn to play, right? So no matter what level you are, you come in, you put on a pair of skates, you put your equipment on, you go out on the ice, and we have coaches there just to kind of bring you along at your pace. And the object is just to get you to learn the game, and as you're learning the game, to have fun at the same time, okay? And if you just use that mindset and keep talking to the kids in a mature way and get them to kind of grow up a little, but that's the other key thing, is even though they're young kids, try to get them to mature as young boys and young girls. Then they'll get into the game even more. They'll always work hard and practice, and they'll become real good players.
I got a minute left, guys, real quick. Sports teaches kids so much about life, not just sports, to work hard, to respect people. What's the biggest thing that sports can teach a kid, Bernie?
Well, you know what? It's to work to where you want to be, where your mind tells you what you're dreaming of and stuff like this, and be willing to work, okay? And at the same time, pray that you're involved with the right group of people, because like I said earlier, beginning of the show, you know what? You win as a team. Like
and become a team player, Bernie. You've been talking about it all night.
Of course.
The team. And no matter what you do in life, you got to be part of a team, right?
Yep.
That is a great way to end it. We love having Jim Watson as a guest. We love having Bernie Parent as a co-host. Guys, thank you so much for this tonight. Let's do it again next year. And best wishes, Jim, for everything. I'll see you next week, Bernie. Thanks, guys.
Yep.
Thank you, Paul. Always, Paul. By the way, outstanding, Paul.
Yeah.
Well, I got someone to thank tonight too, believe it or not.
By the way, Jimmy practiced for 10 minutes today. You're outstanding.
Bernie, by the way, Paul's 25th wedding anniversary today.
Yeah,
25th.
Yeah.
Wow.
You guys.
Incredible. Paul.
Wait a second. Your wife's going straight to heaven, man.
Straight to heaven. I want to thank my beautiful wife, Amy, 25 years. Your beautiful wife, Jeannie, is here with your beautiful dog.
Oh, yeah.
Life is a beautiful thing. Chris Zimmer produced this program. Thank you so much, Chris. He's here every week. Stephen Lawler, great job back at the station. For Bernie Perron and Jim Watson, this has been On the Ice, presented by Independence Blue Cross from Chickies and Pete's in Drexel Hill. Our final show of the year at Malvern next week. Folks, have a great week and go Flyers.
You've been listening to On the Ice, presented by Independence Blue Cross. Tonight's show is an exclusive presentation of 1490 WBCV and heard around the world at WBCV1490.com.